All right, so I know this maybe seems a little redundant, but I'm still working out a few things as I change things and change amps. If anybody knows, these Strymons are stereo, so they can be mono. They can run through the loop of one amp, or they can left and right run through the loop of two amps. I hope everybody kind of gets that. A lot of times I talk to people about that, and they don't. I don't think most people have ever done it. There's not a lot of information on the interwebs about how to do it. I just thought it up in my mind. I'm like, well, I think we could do it, and we can. So I've got the loops here are in the in part for the amps is in here. Then it comes out of here. You'll see with these orange cables, and then back in with these orange. That's patching in the Axe 3. So it goes from the Mobius to the Axe 3 to the timeline to the Big Sky, and then the out of the Big Sky are the amps again. So you can see it's really just daisy chained. In here is the Axe, and then these are just looped together. They're daisy chained together. And yeah, it's killer. And the thing is, and this is what I've learned, and I spoke to Strymon at one point about this, is that it's like, I think that all these pedals, all this is considered like true stereo. They're all true stereo, but not every like patch or algorithm is stereo. Like with the Mobius, the chorus is great, the trem is great, but sometimes like the rotary is weird, or not the rotary, I don't know, the phase, or one of the flanger, it gets all on the left. Same thing with the Axe effects, the Nimbus or whatever it is, the big, like their big reverb is kind of hangs hard to the left, but then you go to anything else, it'll be good. And then and actually what's weird about them is their mono delay, which it is set right, it clicks hard on the left, but the mono delay on the timeline is perfect. And the same thing with the Big Sky. All the reverbs are great in true stereo, except for kind of like maybe like some of the shimmery stuff, and some of it, and I realized that that's a part of creating the image, is that it's like left and right are so different that there's a lot more going on left. So when you just sit here and separate them, and you're not using it as an insert where you're hearing more of it, if you want. I mean, you can turn down the mix, and then, it's just kind of like more like using like an insert, which I do too. Then it's not as noticeable, but when you crank it, you can hear it's hard on the left, but that's the nature of it. So I got it all working. Mostly I've just been focusing on these three amps, the PT100, the Twin Sister, and the Mark V. So we'll switch over now to screen capture. All right, so Happy New Year's Eve. Y'all be careful out there. So I got this all fixed up, and I started tracking guitars yesterday on like a kind of CCM record, Contemporary Christian. Really came out nice. I used that new Dan Electro on the main rhythms. I mean, I kind of had it in my sights, and it actually was really perfect, because I got it sounding good, and then I went and grabbed the Telly, and I was like, and then I grabbed the Strat, and the Strat was cool, but I was like, and then I even tried a little of the Gretsch. I ended up using the Gretsch on all the secondary guitars, so, well, and one clean rhythm kind of with the Strat, but the main, like, rhythms, or the main parts were Dan Electro, and I think I was using the PT on the main one. I did the stereo thing with the PT and the Twin Sister. So anyway, I was like, that was what prompted me. I'm like, all right, I got to fix this, because it was just some things about it that were still, ironing out. I unplugged some more stuff, simplified, and I was using this system over here. I can't even explain it, but I was using like couplers to like patch in things, and I thought, I'm like, I gotta get all these couplers out and go straight in to the back of these amps and see. And that didn't fix it. So the couplers weren't the problem, but I did figure out a way to get rid of all the couplers. I just didn't want them. Figured let me just so I've got all really nice high end cable, but that's it. So now I'm so here is what I did kind of last night as my test. So left side here is PT, and right side is Mark V together. Yeah, I mean, so that's just me really like testing. Phase is perfect, polarity is perfect. So, that right there may not like be like seem like the greatest, most impressive thing in the world, but that's easier said than done. And there's very little. There's like one or two articles on Reddit about it, and people say, "Yeah, you can do it. And this is how you do it." Which everything that was kind of on there, I was already doing. But the main thing was I just had to realize that I had it all set up right. I cleaned it up and got the couplers out, but it was set up right. It's just certain patches. And I spoke to Strymon maybe 6 months ago when I kind of started this thing, and that's what they told me. They said, yeah, stereo in and stereo out is all the pedals work that way, but not all of the algorithms work that way. So yeah, because keyboard players would, if they were using these type of effects, they would just be going stereo in and out on their synth, right? So here is now left side is PT, and right side is twin sister. So the other thing is that every track yesterday, on some of them it was a stereo combo of these two, but on every other track there was just a single amp. I just used the twin sister all day. First of all, it sounded great. Second of all, I kind of wanted to just get used to it. And wow, I really, oh my God, this is, and this is kind of like my jam now. Like, so much of what I do is making tracks. Some of it's like, for like labels or radio, but a lot of it's just demos and, and it's just nice to like plug into an amp and have like a Les Paul and a Strat and just like do work all day for the most part without having to toggle around too much. Very useful. Cleans are great. All right, so here we go. So now, and we've got all of these effects in the loops. So the left side is going into the PT100. The right side is going into the twin sister, and it goes Mobius into Axe Effects, into Timeline, into Big Sky. So in Mobius, and then daisy chain through everything, and then out Big Sky. And here's just with nothing on. They're all patched in. What I'll do is always test phase and polarity, even if I've been working for days, just because I think that maybe with amps, it has to do with power. Sometimes maybe power is weird. I don't know. Things can change. I mean, you guys saw the making of the Black Album. It's like, I don't know, man. I'm just not feeling it. We know what Bob Rock said about it. Poor Kirk Hammett, man. He took a little beating in that. So we're going to do the tick tick, which is going to tell us, and I know I'm going through a lot of this stuff repetitively, but just in case new people are here and they want to learn this stuff. Because when I learned this stuff, I had no idea what this was all about. And I was recording as a kid, and like how some things would sound cool, some things wouldn't. I mean, I wasn't doing like multi mic amping when I was a kid. I probably just threw the 57 in front of a half stack, but still, like the tick tick gives you a real defined moment in time where the pick hits the string, and that's what we want to see, because that's going to tell us. Because remember, so this top, I moved the tracks. This top amp here is the PT100. The bottom amp here is the Twisted Twin Sister, Twisted Sister. So you'll see. So what I do is I enlarge the waveform, and then I click on it, and then I come here, and look, it's reversed. Isn't that weird? See? You see? Isn't that weird? I'm wondering, I was messing with polarity to make sure it was right. No, polarity's fine. Yeah. This is exactly why I do this. X out of it. Flip phase on the Neves. Unbelievable. That's exactly why. Because yeah, yesterday all three amps were reacting with the exact same thing, and then now maybe the twin sister or what, I don't know what, but everything's plugged in. Huh. Yeah, you can hear it. Even the tick tick sounds different. Crazy. And there it is. So you see, it goes up, and the yeah, it's like within. It's like a sample, so that's fine. There it is. There it is. Okay. Now usually what I'll do is I'll just run down a second of it and kind of just look at levels, make sure the levels are good. But I got to record it. I can't just look at, and the levels are never going to be exact because amps react differently, cabs react differently, speakers react differently. One is the PT is in a pair of Neves, the twin sisters in a pair of APIs, so they both are 57 and 160. But it's all going to react. One cab is straight with all vintage 30s, one slant with an X pattern of greenback and vintage 30s. That's what makes this cool, though. That's the difference between just coming out from one amp and then just like splitting the signal, because then now you're just really getting what's called in mixing super mono, kind of. You're just it's like you're just panning the same thing. It's not like panning two different things. Let me get it smallified so I can see. Close enough for rock and roll. I can't really get, in the clean mode, I can't get the twin sister any louder because this is with the gain, the master on 10. Gain is on like 1, and structure is in the center position, which is the least. That's the cleanest. Which is fine. This is great. All right. So now we'll just run down a few things and talk about it. So here is now the timeline quarter note. This should be nice and straight, right? Beautiful. But now we go to digital mono in the Axe effects, and this hangs left. Or no, wait, what am I doing? Wait a second. That's the other thing too. I get confused. Now it's hanging right. Yeah, depends on, I guess, how it's patched in. So you would think that that would be cool, right? But it's not. And then you go back to the timeline. The good news is I don't particularly like the delays and the axe effects, so who cares? So now you come here to this first room in the big sky, and we engage it, and it's nice. Very, very nice in stereo. But there was one here somewhere, and I don't know where it is. Oh, where is it? Cloud? See, that's now going, it's doing that hang to the right thing, but that's a part of... That's a part of like the algorithm of it, like being really, really, stereo. So if I'm being completely honest, so probably for that kind of stuff, unless it was like a CCM thing, and I was like, I'm baking this in. I wouldn't necessarily bake in clouds and shimmer reverbs, because I've got some really nice plugins that do it. Valhalla, I've got a few of them. I've got the Eventide, and I don't know if I'd have the courage to bake that in, just because. Yeah, I don't know. So here's again back to just the room on the big sky. Yeah, very nice little quarter delay on the timeline. Now let's say we come to, let's go to the Mobius, put the chorus on there. Don't bore us, get to the chorus. Mobius trem. That Mobius trem, man. This is crazy, man. Okay. All right. So turn that off. It's just your hall on the big sky and your timeline in the middle. And then we come here and we go to split their little detune, dual detune. Just the detune. And if I want real crystal clear, it's just been my experience after using this. If I want crystal clear cleans, I probably would not use the twin sister. I would go between, if I was doing it in stereo, I would do the PT100 and the Mark V. The Mark V cleans in fat mode are, that's like Def Leppard Hysteria, which sometimes I like that stuff. So it depends, I mean, it's not as in vogue anymore, but what the hell, if I want to put it on a record, I can, right? So I'm pretty stoked with this. I'm actually really stoked with this. I'm going to try to finish the guitars today on that CCM record. It really came out nice. The guitars were cool. You know what I'll do? I'll fire it up, but I'll solo them. I don't want to. It's not my song, so I'm not going to. Gabby Gold, everyone. Put your hands together for Gabby Gold. And I'm really glad that she liked this. I sent it out last night because she's from New York. She's Broadway. But she's like, I want to get cool. I want to be hip like the kids, you know. So I put a little bit of like the CCM guitar-y thing, and not overly, though. I kept pulling back because I'm like, I don't want to, you know, I don't know. I just didn't want to overdo it. Didn't want to overcook the goose. The goose! It sounds like Jim Carrey says, the goose, in one of his movies. Yeah, look at that. So that's the Dan Electro into the PT with the Axe chorus on there, the Axe Effects chorus, and the Dano on the other side. This is one take with the twin sister with the Axe chorus. And I like the Axe chorus because it was a little more like anemic, and that's where sometimes I talk about in some of these videos, like a lot of times you hear demos of equipment and everything is like gushing and over. Everybody's like, yeah. And when people are singing, that's not always optimal. Trust me. Trust me. And you know, when you've sent out enough tracks to people, you know. So anyway, here's Dano, one take. So that I know that little octave thing is the Gretchen of the twin sister with the little king of tone yellow, and then the clean, like just this is just twin sister clean with the Strat in position 2. So here's the Gretsch with the octaves in the twin sister. But real simple because she's singing, and then here's the clean Strat. A little out of tune, and together. And then with the Dano part. It's catchy to me, like it's memorable, and you know, because it's simple, but it's not yeah, I guess you call it simple, but it's got a catchy little thing to it. So that's what we want to do with this, right? There's a for all my session guys out there, or anybody that's into music, there's a documentary. I just bought it on iTunes. I saw it the other day for the first time. The advertisement. I think it came out about a year ago. It's called Immediate Family. It's about the dudes that from the 70s that were the dudes after the Wrecking Crew. It's made by the Wrecking Crew movies. I guess the Wrecking Crew now have their own movie company, so they're doing these kind of like documentaries about music and session guys and guitar playing and all this. But it's like Russ Kunkel on drums, Leland Sklar, Waddy, all these guys, and then how they transitioned into the 80s. So they went from like James Taylor and Joan Baez and, up into like more Fleetwood Mac and, Don Henley and, Huey Lewis and, Bryan Adams or whatever, Hart and all that kind of stuff. So it's great. But they talk a lot with Waddy. I guess that's his name, Waddy, kind of mad scientist dude, like long hair, really funny looking, not funny looking, really funny guy. And he talks about, he was known as the eighth note guy. Like he was the guy that did like on Edge of 17, and he did Oh Sherry, like, but you should see this movie. It's really inspiring, and they're all still alive. Probably most of them have gotten clean and sober, to be truthful, because that's why they're still alive. But very good, really cool, long, slow pace. These kind of things, that's how I like them. I like them to be long and slow paced. I don't like a lot of cut stuff, a lot of quick stuff. I just want to hear these guys talk, man. These are like the heroes of my childhood. I don't need, we don't need glitz and glamour. Let me just hear them talk. Hey! So, hey! So Jake's here. We're just finishing up a movie here, video. Hey, you want to listen to something? Yeah. You remember Gabby Gold that came out a couple of months ago? I think she brought us a bunch of presents. No, I don't. She came out with her husband. They're from New York. She's like a Broadway person. Anyway, I'll play a little bit. This is some of the tracks. And that's the piano player at my church. Jason played piano on it. And that's just programmed drums. I programmed it myself. It's not addictive. It's superior. Yeah, I don't even know what I used. I probably just used my rock kit that I boundary. And usually I'll go through it. That's why I haven't like split it out or processed anything. Sometimes as I'm tracking, I'm like, oh, let me change that, or that kick pattern's weird, or whatever. So, yeah, and that's me playing bass. So it's all me, except for Jason. That sounds nice. The Dan Electro. If you've never gone down that, I would say give it, check them out. They're really cool. If you're like, if you go to the music store and you're like, here's a handmade Jackson with EMGs and like, afterburner switches, and then you pick up a Dano, it's like, gonna be like, oh, I don't know, but it's really good. So there you go. One more time. You can hear like I changed the arpeggio in the verse. My main rhythm, my main guitar part was like really the foundation with the piano. So I'm doing ding 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 ding, like doing more pedaling. But then when the hook comes in, I go more. Why did I do that? I'll tell you why. I left room for this. Right, set it all together. And I mean, it's not mixed, so it's a little Clash of the Titans. But once you sculpt it up, you'll be able to hear everything pan, and it'll be all beauteous. Granger's really nice. That's what I've been using for like 10, 12 years teaching. That's what I teach is with Granger. Granger just sounds like the most awesome, normal piano. Not, funky. Just for piano, I just like Granger. I think it sounds great. Well, hey, if you guys are going out tonight, it's rookie night. With the people getting drunk and driving. Well, I mean, I hope it's funny that people still drink and drive because, Uber, right? But be careful. Be careful. Peace, everybody. Oh, I'm down almost 3 pounds. My food is good. I've got like a game plan, so we're with it.